What's up, everybody? It's Alfredo Brown here with Footballguys, and I'm talking about the players that I want to target in Dynasty startup drafts. Let's get started.
Perfect.
All right, let's do this by position. Starting off with the quarterbacks, you got a couple of young guys, second-year players that have a really nice discount at the moment. When we look at their ADP, I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. They're going as the quarterbacks 14 and 15 off the board. It's putting them at about a mid-11th to late 11th round draft selection. So if you're telling me that I can get a good young quarterback that is on the up and up, has some mobility, and I don't have to pick them with my first 10 picks, that's a pretty nice deal. And we're talking about Dynasty, especially when these young guys. If you're not quite sold on the young players, guess what? Just wait one more round and you got a couple of veterans that you can look at. I'm talking about Derek Carr. Yeah, the same Derek Carr that just added Devontae Adams and gets back a healthy Darren Waller. He's going to the late 12th round as the QB 17. And also in the late 12th, a guy that I have a bit of a soft spot for, and now he's surrounded by weapons. And it's Tua Tagovailoa as the quarterback 18 off the board. Now let's take a look at the running backs. Running backs traditionally have most of their fantasy value between age 22 to 28. So you technically want to try to stay a little bit closer to that younger age and probably look at drafting someone that's no older than the age of 26 if you're really looking to get those prime production years. So let's take a look at some of the guys I really like in the early rounds. The first one I'm looking at is DeAndre Swift. He's 23 years old, and he's currently being drafted as the running back 5. You can typically get him late in the first. Maybe in some leagues, you can actually grab him early in the second round. Now, the next running back that I like, and man, I think the production might be just as good, if not better than DeAndre Swift at more of a discount. I'm talking about Joe Mixon. He was the running back 4 last year in PPR, and he's being drafted as the running back 8. He's still just 25 years old. He's right in the prime of his career. That Bengals offensive line has improved so much. And we're talking about an offense that's going to be able to move the ball. Not only that, after getting his big contract, his numbers went up. He got the ball more often. This Bengals team isn't worried about trying to protect him and make his load smaller. They actually want to use Joe Mixon. So I really like him as a pick in the second round. He could actually be your running back 1 and still be your second player selected. Now, if you're looking at some more values in the running back position, this is kind of crazy to say, but Saquon Barkley is now a value. He is a guy that's not being drafted as a top 12 running back. And to many people, they say, well, he's not a top 12 running back. That has nothing to do with his talent. It's people worried about injury. These have not been consistent injuries in which he is re-injuring the same part of his body. And that's something that you really have to factor in when looking at these injuries. Right now, he's a 25-year-old running back on a team that has a brand new head coach with a creative offense that wants to use him in creative ways. He's in the final year of his contract, and he's being drafted as the running back 13 right now, like I mentioned. That's going to put him in the early to mid part of the 3rd round in Dynasty startups. There's a time where Saquon Barkley would have been a top 3 pick. Now you're able to get him in the 3rd round, and that's just bananas to me. Some other guys that I really like are some youngsters that could be considered values here. Ken Walker III is just 21 years old, and he's going as the running back 17. You can get him in the early 4th round. And then Travis Etienne, a guy who just basically got to redshirt his rookie season because of injury, should and could be coming back very strong with Trevor Lawrence, his former college teammate. Now, he's also been given a brand new head coach, a guy who does tend to use a little bit of a backfield by committee, but Travis Etienne is different. This is a guy that's going to be able to be used in the slot, used out wide, and used in a lot of different ways. He's going as the running back 20. For a guy with his PPR potential, his young age, and the familiarity he has with his quarterback, I'll take that discount all day if I can get him at the end of the 4th round or early 5th round. Now, when we look at some later running backs, some guys I really like, and these are just dart throws. You don't even have to worry about putting a lot of draft capital in them. I'm talking about Darrell Henderson, the running back for the Rams. He's going as the RB 50 off the board. That's right, 50. You don't even have to worry about him being one of your top 4 running backs, but he's a great handcuff to have and a guy who's probably going to get a good amount of work, even if Cam Akers is healthy. You can draft him at the end of the 13th round. A guy in that same light, Khalil Herbert. I loved him coming in as a rookie. He ended up getting a great opportunity when players got injured. He's being drafted as a running back 51 just after Darrell Henderson. You can get him in the early 14th round. It's absolutely crazy. If anything happens to David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert has 3-down potential, and he could be a major handcuff for your team. Now let's take a look at some of the wide receivers here. And man, I know we've talked about a lot of players, but the wide receivers, these are the players that bring so much value to your dynasty team for the long term, and they're really a good way to start out building your roster. Let's take a look at some of these early round guys. I'm going to avoid some of the more obvious ones like CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. But let's take a look at Jamar Chase's teammate, T. Higgins. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 12, the end of the second, early third round. And he's a guy that's going to be able to give you wide receiver 1 production, once again, in an offense that's doing well. Okay, you can see the trend here. I do like the Bengals players. That offensive line is well improved. That defense really didn't get much better. And that team's still going to have to move the ball. We're talking about a now healthy Joe Burrow coming off of such a great season. This Bengals offense should be able to move the ball pretty well. Another player who's maybe getting a discount, even though he shouldn't, it's Deontay Johnson. He's going as the wide receiver 13, meaning you can get him at the end of the second, possibly even early third, just like T. Higgins. This is a guy who has proven he's going to get the target volume. As many like to say, targets are earned, they're not given. He's definitely gone out there and earned them. And what, are we worried about Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky? It's not like he was going out there with prime Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger might have been one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks in the league over the past couple years, and Deontay still produced. So I'm not worried about that. And if I can get Deontay Johnson as the wide receiver 2 on my team and get him in the 3rd round, I'm very happy with that, building my dynasty roster. Now let's take a look at some guys that I believe are values at the wide receiver position, and it's going to be Michael Pittman going as the wide receiver 18 from the Indianapolis Colts. He's got a big chance to break out this year with Matt Ryan. You can get him in the middle of the 4th round. Another player that's in the same age group and could be breaking out this year, I really like him, and it's Jerry Jeudy. He's being drafted as the wide receiver 24, a guy that in some leagues may not even be drafted as a wide receiver 2. That's wild to me. A player who is so supremely talented. He's going to have a good target share, and now he gets Russell Wilson added to him. Talk about Jerry Jeudy, one of the best separating wide receivers in the league, with Russell Wilson, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. This looks like a match made in heaven. I'm really excited for them and what new head coach Nathaniel Hackett can bring to the Denver Broncos. He's going in the late 4th, early 5th round. On top of that, his teammate Courtland Sutton is going as the wide receiver 34. So those Denver Broncos wide receivers give you some really good value. And then a few of the forgotten guys that starting to spice up late in drafts here. Talking about Rashad Bateman being drafted still as the wide receiver 29. He's being drafted as a mid wide receiver 3. Rashad Bateman, the top wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. He's going in the early 6th round. I think that's fantastic for a player at his age with the amount of targets he's going to receive this year. I'm absolutely going after Rashad Bateman in my drafts. And the last player I want to talk about here is Darnell Mooney. He seems to be a value every single year that he's been in the league, and maybe he's that next Brandon Cooks, that guy that never really gets the respect he deserves when it comes to draft capital. But Darnell Mooney's being drafted as the wide receiver 32, and I think we can almost guarantee with his target volume and his talent, he's going to perform much better than the wide receiver 32. At his age, he's got a lot of great production ahead of him, and he'll be tied to a good quarterback. Now, will the Bears continue to be successful on offense? I don't know. But with Darnell Mooney being there, he's absolutely in a great spot to produce. These are my players to draft in your Dynasty startup drafts.